success is a byproduct of living in service and helping others. And we are best able to serve and help others through our experience. So Shantae, your experience and the darkness to which you've walked, you can use that to help others that are walking through that darkness. Nobody can serve like you can. Nobody. I cannot serve from that place. I cannot draw from that well that you can draw from to help and serve others, to draw that water up from that deep, deep well of experience, knowingness, and compassion. I don't have that. Only you have that. And you have that because you're supposed to use that well of compassion to serve and help others who are in that dark place. And that's what it's all about, is using your life for service. And you wouldn't have gone through what you went through if it wasn't for greater purpose.
Hey, what's up, Masters? Welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery Podcasting. Today, we are with Mrs. Barbara.
Miss.
You're right. Ms. My bad. Ms. Barbara Majeski, the one and only TV personality, awesome human being. I'm a huge fan. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here. I love doing podcasts with people I know because I can completely interrupt you. I can Brian Benstock you.
Oh, come on. None of that. It's funny. I've never reached out to Brian. I should probably ask him to be on the podcast. I don't know if I could get any words.
He's my ride or die. Love that guy. That guy.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, it's good to see you. I like everything except for your New York Yankees hat. Other than that, we're in good shape.
It really is to cover up bad hair, just so you know. Like, everyone's like, "Oh, you're a Yankees fan." I'm like, actually, the hat fits me well, and I'm having a bad hair day, so
it's all good. And I threw a 10X hat on just to be in the spirit, I guess, of hats. So
listen, it's all energy too, and you're looking at 10X your life.
Amen.
Start from the top down.
Amen. All right. Well, listen, we appreciate you being here, and for people that don't know who you are, I have a bio. I'm going to read some of it, and then we'll just jump into a conversation. All right.
Yeah.
And what you let me know what you think. But I think I came up with, after reading your bio, I liked refusing to quit as a title. So Barbara is no stranger to the spotlight as a popular television personality. She has been featured on the Today Show, on Good Day New York, and New York Life. She has found success in her career and family, raising 3 children while pursuing her dreams, but her road to happiness has been challenging. In 2016, Majeski found herself somewhere she had never thought she'd be, divorced and diagnosed with late-stage cancer. Going through chemotherapy almost killed her, but she turned inward, focusing on her reason for moving forward, which was to help ensure her brother, who has special needs, was never institutionalized. I couldn't get my wits about me, and I realized that all things I was proud of were that I'm butchering this. My apologies. That the most things I was most proud of is that things that I wanted to quit. She says, maybe you can say that better than I'm saying it.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Sounds like a quote. Yeah,
it sounds like this is. I'm trying to read it, and maybe my apologies. I'm butchering it. So, tell us. You just refused to quit, right? You're going through all this stuff, and it was your brother.
You can't lose. You can't lose if you never quit. And I think that was, that's always my motivation of like, I can't quit. Like, I can't lose if I never quit. And what I had come to realize is when I was in the throes, I had 12 rounds of chemo. And when I was in the throes of like the worst part of chemo, and I thought, I don't think that cancer is going to kill me. I think this chemo is going to get me. And it was in that moment that I reflect on all the things I was really proud of, like what my kids would remember me about. And I realized everything that I had ever really accomplished, I wanted to quit at one point or another. I wanted to give up. I lost my focus. I lost my attitude. I lost, my way. And I always thought if I quit, I can't take care of my brother, Steven. And, if he'd be institutionalized. And that clarity gave me the will and the drive to never give up, to just be relentless in the pursuit of figuring it out. Barbara, you got to figure it out. Barbara, you don't have a choice. No choice, no option. And in that moment, I realized that it was never, I always thought it was me, taking care of Steven. Okay, if I figure this out, I'll take care of Steven. But in the true reality of it, it was always Steven who took care of me. And knowing who saved who in that exchange was, I was the one who was gifted the biggest in that exchange. I was gifted the greatest gift we can all be given, and that's the gift of purpose. That's the gift of no quit, the gift of no back door, the gift of figure it out. Like, you don't get quitting is a luxury and a privilege. And I did, I was like, oh my God, I didn't get a luxury. And it made me the person I am today, and gave me showed me that I could figure anything out. And for that, to which I'm truly grateful. And I live with this drive and this, relentless pursuit of like, no, I just won't quit. You can't hurt me. Like, I'm like David Goggins. I'm like, no, that's not gonna. I have things to do in this lifetime, and they're all aligned with giving back and using my voice to speak for the most vulnerable. So yeah, you can't hurt me. Nobody on Twitter can tweet something that's really going to make me cry. You might hurt my feels for a moment, but you ain't going to make me cry. You're going to
Just
make
a
me
moment.
quit.
Just a moment, right?
Just a minute. Oh, that hurt. That wasn't nice. Ouch. Okay, goodbye. Goodbye to you. Swipe left.
Yeah. You can sometimes let it last an hour, maybe a day in worst case scenario, but that's it, right? Then you move on.
When I say it, you've had it where you're like, oh, or you say something so dumb, you're like, oh, stupid. Or you just something you're like, didn't land, it
Yeah,
didn't translate,
I
or
get it.
you were, you were a little more emotional and a little too snarky. We all have these moments. Now, a lot of people you see, like even on Clubhouse, you never see them again. It's like that moment just took them out of the game. It was too much. They were embarrassed or whatever. And I think when you're aligned with purpose, you're like, all right, that wasn't my shining moment. And even people can make fun of you. Like this one guy made fun of me. He's like, you tried to be a rapper. I was like, because I had done like I said, you need to check up from the neck up, or check yourself before you wreck yourself, or something like that. And he made later on was like, well, you're clearly trying to be a rapper. And I went with it. I was like, you better believe I'm trying to be a rapper.
Amen.
I was like, you can't. Mm-mm. That was cute though. That was a nice try. It's a great attempt at trying to make me feel bad about myself, but
Well, you know what? I mean, here's the reality. In the end, it's not even that important, right? Like I do things all the time. I'll say, I remember a few days ago, Nelson calls on me in a room on Twitter. There's hundreds of people in there, and I have my hand up, and he's like, David Hill, what do you need? And I'm like, I completely forgot what I was even asking. And I just felt like such a bonehead. But then in the end, like, who really cares, right? Like those people, nobody cares about that. Maybe,
David, I was on the 10X stage. I'm speaking 10X ladies. I'm in the middle of something, and I'm like, I forgot what I was saying. I just stopped,
yeah,
and I
you
was
killed
like,
it, by the way.
oh, thanks.
You would have never known.
No, remember the part where I started singing about the pockets in my pants? I got pockets. Like, I was like,
Yeah,
all
that
right, I
was
just
awesome.
completely forgot where I was. Now I was able to regroup, but I do think those moments actually humanize everybody. It's like, oh yeah,
Absolutely.
okay, they don't, they're not always as charming as they don't
So
always have.
you know what? I want to actually go in that direction. There's two things. Number one is you talked about, your brother,
Mhm.
and how, what occurred to me is, when we're in something, when we're in our own funk and we got stuff going on, one of the best ways to get out of it is to help someone else.
Mhm.
Right? Would you agree
Mhm.
with that? And I think that shows
Ah,
up everywhere, right? And that's probably, you tell me, but do you think that's a big reason why you were able to
mhm.
get
I always
through?
say the only emancipation from suffering is to help others, to use your suffering to help others, to align with humanity and to connect with people. And when I got diagnosed with cancer, I put everyone on lockdown. Do not talk about it. If you post anything on Facebook, if anybody posts anything, I will hunt you down. I wasn't prepared to deal with any of it. It was initially a very private experience. And I was really focused on my 3 children who were very young at the time. So I was diagnosed at 42, stage 3 colon cancer. My kids were in 6th grade, 4th grade, and pre-kindergarten. So I had 2 kids who still believed in Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. I really parenting, and I was focused on them. But I got to this point in March. So I was diagnosed in December, and I was March came around or was coming around, and it was colon cancer awareness month. And I was like, now I can share. I was like, you know what? I am suffering and this sucks, but I can use my experience to help others. So I finally came out on Facebook and I shared a picture and I said, I know it was like this is the real reel behind this highlight reel is I am actually I'm in my fourth round of chemo for stage 3 colon cancer. I'm 42. So it was able, and it was shared and shared and shared and, went all over. People couldn't believe it, but it was shared in such a way that I was like, if you're reading this, and then I said, the symptoms, when I tell you the number of people over the last few years that have reached out to me saying, I went and scheduled my colonoscopy. I precancerous tumors were removed. I would have never gone in. It's like I'm your go-to colonoscopy girl. Like everyone's like, Barbara got my colonoscopy. I'm like, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. And I don't mind it because I'm like, at least I triggered you because it is the most treatable and beatable cancer. And I'm dating a man who I'm madly in love with, but I'm only dating him because he lost his wife to colon cancer.
Wow.
And I share that in the vein of like, hey, listen, screenings are 45. So anyway, it's that emancipation from suffering really is to help others.
What was it that caused you in the beginning to not want to say anything about it, to want to keep it secret?
I just didn't want the attention because I felt like when people were like, if people were to be reaching out to me and Barbara, I'm praying for you. Okay. I would feel very obligated to respond and very obligated to deal with their anxiety as opposed to my own. I don't know what you call me, an empath. I don't know what the word is, but I care more about other people's feelings. So I would have expended too much energy. And I knew that about myself. Like if people were like, are you okay? Can I call you? Can we drop a casserole off? And my energy needed to be singular and focused on my well-being so that I could be the best example to my children that was my priority, my family and my health in getting through this. So that was it. Just like knowing my own bandwidth.
Well, congratulations on that, obviously. And let me ask, I mean, was there ever like, I'd be curious to know, like, is there a time where you just kind of felt like, I don't know if I can do this? Like you're just like there, you ever heard the story 3 feet from gold? It's like, they're right there, but it's like, they leave.
Oh yeah.
Was there a moment like that? And how'd you break through that?
I had this moment and I just had we're talking like in the fetal position, bathroom floor, like what the hell is going, like, I don't know how this happened. My marriage had ended just not moments, but several weeks before my diagnosis. So I was in the throes of really taking stock of what my life was about ready to look like as a single mother, as a divorcee, as a mom of 3, 42, something I had never really saw myself. I was, I have the same best friend since the 6th grade. I'm just a loyal, like, I bring in a few people and they're my lifers. They're my ride or die. And I like would go to war for them. So I was like, I'm getting a divorce. Like, so I'm just like, I'm going through a divorce and now I'm in chemo. I'm like, this is a disaster. And chemo was hard. So I had that moment, but when I realized I had this purpose to live, not only for my children, but also to do more in the world, that I needed to use my voice to speak for the most vulnerable. I needed to get out of my silo here in Princeton where everybody, people knew me and I did some philanthropy here and got my messages out there. But I was like, you know what? If I get to the other side of cancer, I will amplify my voice. I will put myself on bigger stages. I'm going to put myself out there. That's how I ended up on TV with this understanding. Like I had this breakthrough in my breakdown because it was a breakdown. It was one of those like fetal position, not pretty. Glad nobody saw it, but I'm happy to tell you about it and happy to have a part of the True Hollywood Story movie that they make. But it was in that breakdown that I really saw that I was supposed to live out my purpose, to use my voice to speak not only for my brother, but people like my brother, the most vulnerable members of society. And I could do more if I had access to bigger stages and bigger platforms. That I made that vow, like I would go big just put yourself out there, do things, learn things, and keep going. So my alignment with purpose helps me navigate setbacks and mistakes and just total blunders and what have you. I'm like, all right, well, I just have to keep moving forward because I made a personal commitment that I would use my voice. Like I just want to keep putting myself out there. So you asked me to do a podcast. I'm like, let's do a podcast because I believe everyone has purpose. Everyone has great purpose, but it's just not something you find under a Christmas tree.
So, well, a couple things. One is we are on Clubhouse right now, so I know we got some people up on Clubhouse. We appreciate you guys being here. I am going to open it up in probably 10 minutes or so for you guys to ask Barbara some questions. It is really set up for questions. Just an FYI, this is a live being recorded podcast. So make sure if you have some questions, feel free. Barbara, I know you also have a podcast, so I'm going to ask you. I want to be a guest on your podcast. It's one of my coaches. I have to get on more podcasts this year. And that's one of my goals. So I'd love to be on your podcast.
But David, my podcast is called Bearing It All. So it's all about the grit behind the glamour. So if you're going to play coy and be like, oh, I don't want to talk about that chapter, I'm going to, that's the chapter I want.
Bounce me.
I want all the chapters you don't want to read out loud. I'm going to ask you to go right to that chapter, read it out loud, and let's talk about it. Cause that's.
Amen. I love that. Good. We'll go deep. I mean, this is 315 episodes for me, by the way. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
I've had Gary Vee. I've had Mel Robbins. I've had some ridiculous guests. Grant's been on 3 times, and now Barbara Majeski. So it's been awesome. But my coach is like, well, how come you're not getting out there and doing other people's podcasts? You got 2 books, you got other stuff. So I'm like, you know what? That's a good idea. I need to get out of obscurity.
You need to promote those books. I didn't know you were an author.
Yeah, amen. I know. I forget myself. Thank you. So absolutely. But listen, today's about you. But what I do want to ask though is it sounds like you have learned to not take yourself serious and just have fun in the midst of and like, how important is that? And were you like that before you went through all this stuff, or did going through this kind of give you that perspective?
You're a great interviewer. You are unbelievable, because that's a really great question, because I was a sanctimonious Judge Yvonne Judgestein prior to having the wheels fall off in my life. Everything was in 2 boxes. You were right or you were wrong. You did things correctly or you did things incorrectly. And I was so white knuckling my life to stay in the box of doing things right. And I was checking all the right boxes that I feel that it only inhibited me. Listen, judgment is one of the most toxic things we do. When you're judging others, it doesn't affect them. It actually only impedes upon your prosperity and your abundance and your happiness. And it took me all of this to kind of go through that. So I always say, I'm like, the universe was like, holds my beer, Babs. Like, I would be like, if that happened to me, I would never. Like, I had all these like ideas of and judging other people as they're going through their trauma and their experiences. So the universe was like, yeah, let's see what you do with your badass self. And here's your cancer, and here's your marriage imploding, and let's see what you do. And unfortunately, it gave me a lot of compassion, and I in turn learned to transcend judgment and move into 2 spaces. When I hear myself being like, what the hell? I'm like, nope. I get curious or I get compassionate. That's it. Because everyone's battling something you know nothing about, and maybe getting a little curious will get you to a better understanding of why they're making decisions, or maybe how they aspired for something. Like, you walk by a nice house, and instead of being, oh, must be nice, staying, oh, that must be nice. How did they do that? I wonder what they do for a living. I wonder where they went to school, or did they go to school? La, 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 la. So I am definitely a different person. And no, I don't take myself too seriously. I do feel that everything is a lesson. And I just got to keep David Hill. I am telling you, I have like made so many blunders, not just on TV, silly things on TV, but even on Clubhouse. Sometimes I just feel like I don't come across right. And I'm like, I have this edge to me. I'm like, I'm opinionated, and I have, and then after I like go, leave quietly, I'm like, what did I just do? And is that the best? Is that how I want to represent myself? Is that the legacy that I want to leave? But I share that because I'm a work in progress, just like everyone else, combined with being a master. We're a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously, quote by Sophia Bush. So I will say, yeah, we all are. I'm a work in progress. So I think why I don't take myself too seriously is anytime I've really made an ass out of myself, I've kind of used it to later on of like, oh, you think like somebody was like, oh, like somebody hurt my feelings on Twitter Spaces, and I'm like, come on, you haven't really arrived until somebody opens up a room about you and calls you, you know, a has been or something. You know, I'm like, that, like it's like everything that has happened to me has happened for me as a way to like almost be like, oh, yeah, I know that is tough, but just keep getting back in the game. This is like part of the game. Like, don't take it too seriously. And I just come from such a well of not just compassion, but a well of like true experience. I'm like, oh, don't worry about that. Don't take it personally.
Did
Move on.
did you think it had to, well, two things. One is, like, obviously people don't want to go. I went through a lot when I was younger that helped me. It gave me, it helped me become more humble. It gave me probably more grit than most people, than a lot of people. Um, do you think that's important for someone? And also, do you feel like it made you more humble going through all that?
Oh, it gave me a great sense of humor. I don't take myself too seriously. And I like last night, we had a great interview on Twitter Spaces and Grant Cardone hosted it. And this guy was just like somewhat like offensive at times, not to me, but could be perceived as politically incorrect. Okay. When I tell you behind the scenes, I was laughing with Nelson, and then finally I unmiked and I threw it out there of like how funny that was, and just you know, I wasn't sure if I was engaging in like being politically incorrect as well. I was like, I wonder if I am part of the problem. But at the same time, I love a good laugh. Like I love being in this moment in history and like being able to have some humor in at all levels. So I don't know. I see people sometimes. I do think that adversity builds character. And I also believe they say that um, tough times don't just build character, it also exposes it. So being very cognizant of like, all right,
Mm.
I'm better than this. And I think some people can't perceive their adversity as these are character building moments. They're muscle builders. And without them, you know, you're a feather in the wind. You're unstable. You're not, you gotta have some grit. Like you gotta have some things that have knocked you down a few times and get back up,
Mm.
especially on these drop-in audio apps. You know, you've got to sometimes just not articulate yourself well. You have to be able to stand tall in the pocket, and yet sometimes just have to like Jonathan Mink said it really good yesterday. He's like they what did they say? They cleans me up on the floor. I don't know what that quote is, but basically saying he got like murdered on Twitter Spaces the other day, and you know, just people. He was in that like you know he's a liberal. He was in a you know very right winged room, and he held his own, but anyway, he still shows up.
Yeah.
It still shows up. He's like, "Yeah, no, that's okay. All right, that wasn't one of my better days." And I applaud that. Those are the people I wanna hang out with. People that just keep showing up.
And I guess that's what I mean when I say humble or humility, because you know it's, you just, you go through it, you take your, you know, you take your dings, and then you're like, all right, I'm back, you know, with a
Uh,
smile, and just minimize how long it takes you to get back,
yeah, yeah, you know, if
right?
you haven't had one of those nights where you just sit there and replay the shit you just said, then are you really in the arena? You are only in the arena you know, you're only in the arena if you replay something over and over again and try to you're like, "Can I just rewind the tape and fix a few of my faults there?" If you haven't done that, then you're really not in the sport. You don't have the jersey on, you're not out on the field. You're not like you're just not you're miss it's part of the sport, it's part of the NFL, right? I love football. Uh you know, you get the jersey, you go out there. It doesn't mean you're going to run every play like into the end zone. You're going to totally screw up. Does that mean you walk off out of the stadium into oblivion and, you know, go live in your mother's basement? I mean, you can, but let's not. That's
What
all I'm saying.
did you see the Jacksonville game? I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan, but when he threw 4 interceptions the first half, and then they came back and won. I don't know if you saw that game.
I
I'm a,
didn't, but I listened to some of the
uh,
to my friend on Instagram, and I saw his take on it. So yeah.
I'm a
Uh,
fanatic with playoffs. Like I watch all the games when
well,
it comes
did
to
you see the
playoffs.
Bills?
Yeah. Oh
Did you
yeah,
see,
100%. Yeah, I'm a Bills fan.
I
I'm
was
a Bills fan
there.
from Jim Kelly days, back in the day, Jim Kelly and all those guys. I mean, I
So I was at the
Cornelius Bennett,
oh, and I was at the playoff game this weekend, so I was all in.
yeah,
And my boyfriend Dan is from Buffalo, so he was not just in. Like when they were doing well, he took his shirt off. I mean, he
nice.
was
He's all in.
all in. I was
He's
like,
showing
what?
up
Woo,
100%,
woo, woo.
right?
Yeah, and I'm a Giant. I grew up Giants, but
Oh, then there you go. You guys may play in a bowl. Who knows? Giants Bills.
yes.
That'd be awesome. All right. I'm gonna open it up to Clubhouse, but I do have one. So I
Yeah.
want to talk about, your TV personality. You're on big stages now. I know you had talked about that. That was one of your goals before as you were going through. Like, how important was it for you to achieve that? And how does it feel to be in that space? Because I've heard your story many times. You're like, I know I'm going to be on TV and I'm going to do it. And how
Well,
important is
I
that?
think the coolest part when somebody asked me once, they're like, "Oh my God, what was it like for you to be at the Today Show for the first time?" And the funny thing was, I felt like I was like, "Oh, I belong here." I did not feel imposter syndrome. Like, will
Mm,
everyone does everyone know I have a degree in health and I'm a door to door sales girl and like here I am an on air person like bloop bloop bloop. Like I had none of that. I had visualized myself at the Today Show on the plaza, talking to fans, talking with the hosts, doing my thing. I saw myself there so much in my mind's eye that I had already been there in my head so much. By the time I got there physically, I was really already, it had already happened for me. So I got into the green room, I made a bagel and a schmear, and I sat down, had my coffee. Like I wasn't nervous enough to like not eat because sometimes, we have those nerves and you can't eat. I was like, no, this is like I was born to be here. It just took me 40 something years to have the courage, or I don't know, whatever it was. In Judaism, the chutzpah, we had the balloons, like I finally found the balloons to go out and do it. So I think that was so cool. And I encourage people to be very visual and very specific in
mm,
where their life is going, the trajectory of their life, because I do believe the universe will conspire in your favor. And even on a subconscious level, energetically, you start like moving towards it. You start following certain people and you start just learning different things. So, yeah, I was like, I've already been here. Give me my bagel and my schmear.
what's a shmia
Oy
anyway?
vey. Oh, I can't talk to you anymore. How do you not know?
I don't know what a
I
shmia is.
okay,
I'm sorry.
everyone on Clubhouse, obviously you see my little
Block
icon there.
everybody. Block me. Is
Now,
how you say?
everyone, please comment in the comment section to David what a bagel and a schmear is. And if you don't know, you need
Cream
to read the
cheese.
comments. Oy vey, I don't
All
even
right.
know. You're from the Northeast. You should have your accent revoked.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not
Somebody
familiar.
revoke David
No.
Hill's accent, please.
Shmia.
You
All right.
lost your
Anyway,
Northeast card. You lost your Boston card. That's for
thank
sure.
you. It's all good. Hey,
Taking it away.
you know what? You know what's interesting though, and then I'm gonna toss it over to Clubhouse for some questions. Is I am in the process now of going through Think and Grow Rich again.
Yeah.
Chapter 4 is auto suggestion, and I literally started listening. Like in the book, it says you got to listen to chapter 4 over and over and over again until you really can visualize
Mhm.
and get it. So I'm literally, this is the third day in a row. I listen to the chapter every morning in my meditation. It's a 15-minute chapter.
I didn't even realize that. And today I was talking. So I do these resets and these challenges, these online group kind of challenges to, refocus everyone and get down to like living your best life. And today was about limitless beliefs. And I was talking about visualizing and getting down to the minutia or creating a vision board. Go to that bookstore,
Mm,
grab those magazines, get some what is it that a glue stick. I told my group, I'm like, go
yeah.
get a glue stick, get childlike like this and start believing in magic again, because this is real. This is your life. You manifest your destiny and you start by the way that you think. So I love the concepts of Think and Grow Rich. I have definitely manifested my life. And on the Clubhouse app, if you're on Clubhouse right now listening, I have a picture of my basketball court, which is in my house. And that didn't happen. This is a girl who had to live with her uncle in middle school in a one-bedroom studio apartment with I had to live with my father, my uncle, and my three brothers. So we're talking five dudes, one bedroom, one bathroom, and I'm sleeping on a floor and I'm visualizing me never living like that again. And now I live it today. And this is not by accident. I'm never surprised when I pull up to my house. I'm not surprised. I I was here in my mind and in my imagination long before my physical body got here. That is an earned basketball court. It is the coolest thing in my house. I am telling you, come to my house and I open this door and you're like, what? Like, cause it's right off like the kitchen and the living. What? Who does this? I do. I do. And I just share that because what you believe is so powerful. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are exactly right. Henry Ford said it best. You think you can, or you think you can't, you are correct. So I'll land it there. You know, I can talk. Done. I had a coffee. Bloop, 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 bloop.
I like the what?
What? David.
Like a little
Everybody walks
kid.
into the house and they're like, I'm like, oh, come on over here. Have you seen this yet? And I open their like, what? And then every guy grabs about, oh, I got to take a shot. And then they always miss the first time. I don't know what that is, but I've yet to see somebody grab the ball and throw it in there.
I will nail that swish all net.
Ooh, I'll tell you what, David, and it's crazy. I put the cord in, I don't know, 8 years ago, maybe. Best investment. It would have gone in two ways. The dumbest thing I've ever done, like investment wise, or the best. That court doesn't owe me a dime. My son is home from college. He was just in there. I mean, it's the best. It's the best. So I'm selling basketball courts on the side. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, let's roll.
DM me basketball court. I'll teach you how to put one in your house.
There you go. All right, listen, we're going to transition. We're going to jump to our friends in Clubhouse. By the way, there is a link at the top. And if you want to access everything I have going on, just go to davidhill.link. And by the way, this episode is sponsored by Real Estate University. So make sure you check out realestateuniversity.club. If you have a real estate license, you want to be part of that club. All right, on Clubhouse right now, we have got some awesome friends in here. And I'd love to know if you want to ask Barbara a question. Again, this is question time. Give me a mic flash. So I saw Shantae, and then I saw Hoot, and then I saw Armando. So we'll go in that order. And then if we have time for more, we will get a couple more. So,
Awesome.
Shantae.
Yes, I'm enjoying this conversation so much. I just love you, Barbara. You are absolutely adorable. But I do have a question for you. Like I'm listening to your story and I can feel like all these emotions. And I have a question. So,
I feel like we lost you for a minute there. Your connection might not be that great. Barbara, did you hear that? Or is it just me?
I was hearing her. Go ahead. Yeah, you sound good.
Okay. All right. So I'm a 2-time suicide survivor. And when you are in these really the depth of like the whole blackness in your mind and in your soul, what is something that, being as you were down, you were just in those moments and you found the place in your mind where you could get out of it in your mind, because you're right. The mind controls everything. But what is something that you would tell somebody who is feeling that, who's going through that? What's something that what kind of guidance would you be able to give them to pull them out of that? If you've ever been in that kind of spot, and if so, what would you do?
Well, first I want to say thank you for surviving. Thank you for surviving. You have a beautiful voice and you have much to do in this world. And just you sharing your survivorship can help so many other people. So never stop sharing your story and being proud that you are here, because that is not something everyone is able to say, that they have overcome, and you are truly a survivor. And I can't speak from that experience. I can only speak from my own experience. And when things have been dark, I go to Stephen. I have to serve and live a life of service. I have to advocate for him. If I do not speak for him, who is going to do it? And nobody. Like, I was gifted my brother, and that's my purpose. And everyone has purpose. Your survivorship is purpose. You have great purpose. And I had asked Oprah a question years ago, what kind of advice would she give to somebody who aspired for her level of success? And she told it straight to me. Success is a byproduct of living in service and helping others. And we are best able to serve and help others through our experience. So, Shantae, your experience and the darkness to which you've walked, you can use that to help others that are walking through that darkness. Nobody can serve like you can. Nobody. I cannot serve from that place. I cannot draw from that well that you can draw from to help and serve others, to draw that water up from that deep, deep well of experience, knowingness, and compassion. I don't have that. Only you have that. And you have that because you're supposed to use that well of compassion to serve and help others who are in that dark place. And that's what it's all about, is using your life for service. And you wouldn't have gone through what you went through if it wasn't for greater purpose. So I hope this is landing for you, because understanding that you didn't go there for you went there to serve others. It just is not always easy to see. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. It makes 100% all the way. I can't even talk because this is something I've just started sharing this last probably 6 months or so. So I just, hearing your story and what you went through, and it just gives me perspective on how I can share to help others as well. So I love getting the perspectives. Thank you.
Well, and continue sharing. And whenever you're lost in the sauce with how does this land? Should I unmic? Should I share? Ask yourself just one question. How can I use my experience to help this person? How can I use my experience to help this audience, to serve this audience? What is in the audience's best interest? What is in this person's best interest? And when you lead with the intention, your intention is service and your intention is to help others, your words will follow in suit, because your energy follows your thoughts. And if you're ever lost, that's my advice, is, okay, how can I use my experience to serve? And we can thank Oprah for all that, because I think I've just taken her message and extrapolated out. And I'm so proud of you, Shantae, and I'm grateful our paths have crossed. I've met so many great people here on Clubhouse, and I consider you one of them. So thanks for sharing today.
Thank you, Shantae. And thank you for being able to add this section here, this segment. I don't know what you want to call it. Just this conversation to our podcast today. So it's awesome. Thank you. And so I saw. I don't know this person, but he raised his hand. I'm just a little concerned because it says unapologetically, but we'll see what he's got to say. Michael Hootner.
I know, Michael.
Oh, you know Michael? All right, good. What's up, Michael? How are you, sir?
Good, David. Appreciate you. Shantae, love and light to you. And I echo Bab's sentiments. I was going to say something earlier, and so obviously, if you're actually being an active listener, you have to be able to pivot, like Babs always talks about. And I was just going to say, and Barbara, your response with regards to Shantae's testimonial is exactly what I was going to talk about, which was, you're the only person on here, I think, maybe one other person, where I have the little bell that rings when you're in rooms.
Thank you.
Because, yeah, but it's, whether you're talking about water or you're talking about something, like Shantae was sharing with everybody about suicide. And I, my story. I've had 6 dads, and 2 of them have killed themselves. And so, I thought about it when I was younger as well. And so it just the authenticity of, you being in any space is what I love most about you. And, you have the picture of the basketball court. You could talk about your brother. You could talk about your pool, because you used to pool hop and now you have a pool. It doesn't really matter what you're talking about. And that's what shines through. Even if I, or anyone else disagrees with, your views, you're always compassionate. You're always loving. You're always, just an amazing listener, and, just authentic and genuine. And, it breaks down barriers, for people who especially last couple of years, which has been a shit show for a lot of people, and they don't want to be here. And so you probably helped a lot of people that you don't even realize because of, your, like I said, authenticity in your heart. So I appreciate you, and I genuinely, love you, and your partner is very lucky to be, with you, and always love and light to you as well.
Mike, thank you so much. And I love you too. We've had great conversations, and I appreciate hearing that. I appreciate you. And this is what I do love about Clubhouse. These are real relationships. These are because we're talking. We're not exchanging pictures or highlight reels. We're kind of sharing. And I like that you said, like, you might not always agree with me. It's okay not to agree with everybody's viewpoints, but it doesn't mean you don't have to like them. It doesn't mean that it has to escalate to all this vitriol. I'm a huge fan of that, of like, no, let's agree to disagree. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Anthony Scalia. So Mike, you've definitely got to get David on your podcast, as David's, because Mike has a really great podcast.
Awesome.
It's a sports podcast, right? Sports, politics. Mike does all the things. But yeah, no, I appreciate you, and it's good to hear your voice. It's been too long.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that, sir. And yeah, I would love to, I'll message you on the back channel, man. We can exchange podcasts.
Appreciate you all. Much love, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mike.
Brother. All right. I think we have time for probably one more question. I see Cheryl. You know what? I see Cheryl, and I see the architect. So we'll get two more in, and then that'll be it for questions today. So we'll go with Cheryl first. How's it going, Cheryl?
Oh, great. And Barbara, I just love you. I love you too, David. I love your rooms. And I just, Barbara, I've been following you for a long time. I actually first time met you on Clubhouse. And, I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 45. I was a single mom, a little girl with Down syndrome who was also stage 3 kidney disease that we didn't know about at the time. And went right from chemo and right to the hospital with her for, almost a year with her kidney shutting down. And it was a whole, it was a big mess 6 years ago, and we're all coming out of it. But, I've always wanted to ask you this, like, how do you find what your purpose is? I mean, I teach people how to build stuff. I'm building a pantry right now. I can teach anybody how to build anything. But at the same time, I've been through breast cancer. I've got a special needs daughter. I am a single mom. There's all this other sort of stuff that goes on. And it's like, how do you pull it all together and kind of know what your message to the world is? I actually changed the name of my business just because I just wasn't feeling aligned with it. And I do love teaching woodworking, but there's so much else, and, how do you pull those stories together, and how do you tie in your life experiences, which have been, cancers and sickness. And, there's a whole bunch of other stuff too, into something that you're teaching that's not really relatable to what you're doing. That's where I've had this hard time with things jiving. So who better to ask than you? And I don't even know if that made sense. So
Totally. Sure. I mean,
does that make sense, Barbara? Because I'm stuck on this.
It makes absolute sense.
First of all, I want to ask everyone that same question because, we're also layered and multifaceted. And I love that you asked that question because I've been asking myself that same question. Am I a lifestyle entertainment expert, or am I, a podcast host, or, it's like, who am I? And I think that what I'm loving about what you're talking about right now is actually your DIY stuff. I think that is so damn cool. And for me, and just my experience, it's just leading with one thing and then eventually sharing your brand story. Your brand story is, you're a survivor, you're a mother of, a special needs daughter, you're a single mother, you're a survivor, a thriver, but that's your personal brand backstory to your DIY. And I think leading with that and then building a brand story behind that just makes people love you and want to get to know you so much more. Not only see these amazing things that you craft, but they're crafted with just, your survivorship. But just keep keep putting content out there, especially the DIY stuff, and then slowly integrate your brand story, which is your personal, your personal story, your personal mission. And then ultimately, as different parts of that grow, you can be, you can do speaking and engagements. Oh, this has just been my, my experience where it's like, oh, we'll invite Barb to speak. She's a DIY specialist, or I'm not DIY at all. Well, I am sometimes for some of the segments, but I'm an on-air television personality coming to speak about growing up with a brother with special needs, or advocating for, whatever philanthropy I have in Princeton. But I think you lead honestly with a lot of your DIY stuff and let it integrate with your brand story. Does that help? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, because I'm sorry if I sound whiny. I've just got a really bad cold and I'm trying to build, and
You sound like you're from
and...
No, you sound like you're from Canada. Are you from Canada?
Yes, I'm from beautiful Vancouver Island, actually.
Nice.
So
oh my God, that's beautiful.
Am I the only one in here that doesn't know what DIY is, or
do it yourself?
Oh, do it yourself.
You don't know what a schmear is. You don't know.
You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those days.
You're killing us today.
My bad.
I want to see in the comment section if anybody doesn't know.
Anybody else
know already?
DIY. Oh, David.
Or schmear. Schmear is the other one.
Schmear. But you can't say schmeanzy. Is it you? Bagel and schmear.
All right. I did say.
Go ahead, Cheryl. Sorry.
I just wanted. Sorry, David.
So so I don't know how Barbara's doing. How are you doing on time, Barbara? Because I know
I'm good.
45 minutes. Okay, cool. So, all right, Cheryl, what's up?
I just want to say thank you. And yeah, that does make sense. I just never want to sound whiny, right? And so, and I guess a lot of it can tie in together because, being a single mom and having to build for a living and, grow my membership and stuff, it's all those little tricks. I guess you can tie it in, how do you go live when you're sitting in the hospital for 4 months? Things like this, all these crazy things. How do you get anything done when your daughter's been homesick for 2 weeks? You don't
get anything done. And then you come back. You don't. And then you
don't beat yourself up.
You don't beat yourself up, and you only sound whiny if you're whining. That's it. If your intention, back to what Shantae and I talked about, and when you on mic and you put yourself out there, like Mike does, he puts himself out there all the time to advocate for social justice and what he's so passionate about. And you can see his intention isn't to draw attention or to whine about anything. It's to draw attention and create movement and create interest. Same thing for you, and if you can add a little bit of like chaos humor of like, this is so crazy that it actually, when things are so bad, they actually become funny. Like you're like, this, like the wheels have fallen off. Just be real, be you. And if you're just going out there to whine, you'll sound whiny. If you're just out there to trauma dump, then you'll sound like that's what it is. But if you're out there being like, listen, I love DIY. I love doing what I'm doing. I love transforming spaces. This is what I'm so passionate about. I hate when I have to take time off, but my daughter's my priority. My health is my priority, but I'm so excited to be back with you guys sharing X, Y, and Z. And I appreciate your support for showing up when, going from there. I'm telling you, you only sound whiny if you're whining, and you're allowed to whine every once in a while, and we're allowed to tantrum. I have tantrum stories that I love sharing, so don't worry about it.
All right.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you. I'll let someone else ask a question. I wish this room was going on all day. You guys are keeping me company. So thank you so much from beautiful Vancouver Island, British Columbia.
Well, Cheryl, I just followed you on the Tweeter, so I'm also doing Tweeter Spaces. And I just opened up a new account, and that's a whole nother story. So make sure you're following on Twitter Spaces as well.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Cheryl. We appreciate the question as well. Appreciate you for showing up 100%. I think I said I would go. Do you have time for one more, Barbara?
Let's do it.
Okay. I think it was this gentleman 72, the architect, Jason.
Jason, yes.
Jason. I'm guessing Jason's a friend of yours.
I know everybody. Yeah. I know everyone on Clubhouse.
All right, cool. We got all these new people here today. This is cool.
Mm-hmm. Good to meet you, David. Actually, I've been a part of Barbara Majeski's Winter Challenge, her holiday challenge.
Oh, awesome.
And that's how I came across her on another room one day, just out of spare chance. And usually I don't go into big rooms and big discussions. I like smaller atmospheres. But one of the things that really caught my attention about Barbara was when she was talking about her cancer story, it wasn't like a victim mode, like I just
Mm.
survived cancer. It was like it was the catalyst that took the next level on, from what I understood. So it's much different, and this is no disrespect to anyone who's gone through a serious illness. So, when I was listening to you, Barbara, talk about, your visualization, I've read Think and Grow Rich and many other books, but when did it really hit you smack in the face that you knew that visualization of what your
Mm.
success was it's no, there's no plan B. It absolutely, I read this book called There's No Such Thing as Plan B. There's only plan A. So when did it really hit you? Because
It's a great
as far as
title.
because as far as I've known you, I've never heard you talk about the situation regardless of COVID or anything bad. So that was my question. When did it really hit you? Or what was the moment that you could closely remember to that? Like there's no plan B. It's absolute plan A, and then the visual is going to be B, or the visual is going to be here.
Oh my God, that's a really good question. But I will share this one thing. Jason, you've probably heard this already, but it bears repeating because it goes to the power of writing things down and visualizing. When I lived in California with my uncle, I was 13, 14 years old. I'm a twin. I have a twin brother. I have younger twin brothers. Like I said, 5 dudes, one studio apartment, probably 650 square feet, one bathroom. It was horrible. And my dad took us to a Ferrari dealership, and he loved the Testarossa, and he'd be like, pick out your Ferrari. And I would be like, I hate car. Like, I didn't care. We didn't have a car with seats. We had a painter's van where two of the kids had to hold on to the little hubs over the tire wheel wells or whatever. And one person got to sit shotgun, which was always my brother with special needs. So it was really just the 3 of us fighting for the 2 tire wells. And then the third kid just had to surf. I mean, we should have been pulled over, DIFUS called, and throw away the key. But nobody caught us, so it was fine. But when we got home from the Ferrari dealership, my dad, I started crying. I get bawling like a good 13-year-old meltdown. And I'm like, I don't know why you do this to us. We didn't even afford a car, and we're living on your brother's floor. And why are you doing this? And he's like, somebody has to buy these Ferraris. We just have to do the things that they did to get what they have. Like, we just have to do. So that was so powerful. But here's where the visualization comes in. He said, Barb, I want you to draw your house, what it looks like, where's the car? Like, I want you to get down to it. And that day I grabbed probably crayons, because God only knows what we had in that house. But I remember this, Jason, and it spooks me a little bit. It does. It spooks me just a smidgy, because I had at some point in my travels saw Jack and Jill bedrooms, bathrooms. And what that is, it's 2 bedrooms adjoined by a bathroom. A lot of colleges and dorms have it. I drew 4 bedrooms with 2 bathrooms, each adjoining the 4. So there's 4 bedrooms, 2 Jack and Jill bathrooms. And I was obsessed with this layout because I thought it was so cute, because I could share a bathroom with my twin brother, and my twin brothers, I have younger twin brothers, they would share a bathroom. And I thought it was so like, I don't know, Ozzy and Harriet. I pulled up to my house. This was about a year and a half ago. I don't know. And I remembered this. I remembered it as if I was walking through a memory myself. And I was like, I drew this house. I drew a brick house with a circular driveway with 4 kids' bedrooms that had Jack and Jill bathrooms. I drew my house when I had nothing in my life. And I got on Clubhouse that afternoon. I was like, I just realized I drew my house into existence. And that was that and so many other things have validated. That's why, Jason, I do these courses where I'm like, you have to write things down. You have to journal, stop typing things into your phone, go get colored pencils, go get crayons, go and start getting creative, and start integrating the creative mind with that analytical mind, like writing things down. But Jason, that is the day that I was like, I drew my life into existence. And I am now even more empowered to teach others, to tell others, go draw your life, go draw out your dream life. So now my new visual, this is my new one, is I have this huge house in Colorado or Utah, somewhere out west in the mountains. It's a ski house and it's huge, and it had fireplaces and fire pits, and it's ski in, ski out, and my whole family, my grandkids and their friends, and they're all coming to see me. So that's my new visualization, and I hope that answers your question. Does it?
It does. It does for many reasons. I mean, last year was a hell of a year for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kid, going through custody issues, health issues. And then it wasn't until when I started working out in your program, you didn't have any instructions like go do it, drink water, journal, come in, log it in. That's simple. Keep it as simple as possible. That's what I really got from you. And it was a catalyst for me to get forward. And I stopped getting stuck. And, I can be intelligent. I can say all these things and I can deal with many things, but I needed something as simple as what your program did, which I encourage people to join. I think it's in March when she has her next one.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing is you want to go forward. Now I'm on the visualization part. So I write down, and even I put my time brackets of how much I write, how much I read, work out, and then execute. It's just keep it as simple as possible. So there has to be your plan A. Your plan A is there's just no surrender. It's not about how to, it's why, what, and when you're going to really execute and not get lost in the process. And that's really something that you've done that helped me refocus. So thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate you, and I've loved having you in the group. And I saw your transformation. I know you lost a ton of weight. You got right to it the second you registered. You started working out, and it is what I love about doing these programs with people is people know what they need to do, but it's the consistent execution that's so hard. And I hope this lands for somebody out there. This totally hit me like a ton of bricks yesterday. I saw a picture of Giselle Bundchen, and she's running in Costa Rica with her personal trainer. And I'm laughing at this because these very super uber epically wealthy people literally bring their personal trainers, they bring their personal trainers on vacation with them. But you have to ask yourself, do they not know how to run? Do they not know how to do a push-up? Of course they know how to do these things. What they are insulating themselves from is the hardest part, which is distraction, discouragement, disappointment, not doing it. All they're paying for is somebody to show up. That's it. And that's why I do these groups. It's all accountability. It's not that they don't know what to do. It's just that we all have the same problem, and it's doing it consistently when we don't feel like it. So literally, who can hire a personal trainer and fly their asses to Costa Rica and put them not Giselle Bundchen and Tom Brady maybe, but the rest of us, let's get into challenges. Let's support each other. And these challenges do change people's lives. They're literally, I swear by them. So thanks, Jason. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Barbara. Everybody else that shared, Michael, Cheryl, Shantae, appreciate all of you. Everybody else on Clubhouse, we appreciate you guys investing your time here. And this is recorded. It will, if you missed some of it, it will be on Path to Mastery podcast. If you click the link at the top, I believe it's the second or third tab down, you can subscribe to the podcast. So again, appreciate you being here. And if you are in real estate, make sure you check out Real Estate University. All right, Barbara, back to you. First, let our listeners know what's the best way to get in touch with you if they want to know more about your challenges or they just want to connect. What's the best way to do that?
They're definitely going to want to get on my email list because the challenge does start March 1st, which is a 90-day workout challenge. And it goes from March 1st to Memorial Day. It's like my secret sauce of like how to show up summer in the best shape of your life, how to show up fit and feeling fabulous for the summer. And it's so cool, but you have to be on my email list. So go to barbaramajeski.com. And another component that I'm working on, and Jason's doing it with me, is the ambassador program. So the only way you can come, you have to apply to be an ambassador, number one. Number two, part of the application process is that you have had to have done at least one of my challenges, one of my resets in order to qualify. And it is my way of creating a leadership team that I coach to be coaches, to be leaders, which is actually my zone of genius. That's what I've done in a previous life. And you will get paid to work out. I'm obsessed with this model because there's nothing better when you're in the leadership position. You go up 10x. It's like being an aerobics instructor. You don't just do the dance moves. You like crush it, man. So anyway, I'm a little obsessed. I'm excited.
No, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So, and I'm gonna go get a glue stick. By the way, like, I wrote that down on my notes here. Besides other things,
get crafty. Get crafty.
well,
Get
it's the
tactile.
craziest thing, Barbara. Is we all started doing it. Vision boards. They're all over our dining room table, and
Love it.
and we have 2 dining rooms, but the second dining room, and because we didn't have a glue stick, like, and stuff's been sitting there for like a week now. It's pretty bad.
Get a glue stick
I gotta get a
or
glue
that
stick.
rubber cement. Like get
something.
childlike. Yeah.
And I was just at Target yesterday too. Worst. All right, listen.
Mhm.
So, like, you're in this fitness thing now, though. So we'll wrap here. Like, is this something you always wanted to do, or is this new? Like, you seem like
I'm a
really
cancer survivor,
excited
my
about
friend.
this.
Listen, I take full authority. We are in control of our destiny. And I see myself in my 90s playing with my grandkids. I see myself skiing. I see myself walking on the beach. I see myself riding bikes. I see myself living every chapter, every floor. I'm going to the 5th floor in April. Every floor, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, in the best shape of my life so I can optimize my experience. And you cannot optimize your life if you do not have your health. Your health is your greatest wealth. So I'm not a fitness trainer. I'm an accountability girl. I'm a live your best life girl. I'm like, you are the master of your destiny. So that's why I'm into fitness, because I also believe, David, when your body is fit, your mind is fit. And when your mind is fit, you can move and optimize your life at the highest expression that you are. So all things start with a healthy body and a healthy mind.
Amen. I did hot yoga yesterday. Oh,
Namaste.
amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. Oh my
Woo,
goodness.
come down to Stone Harbor. I do hot yoga all
Oh,
summer.
okay. I
I
love
literally like lose my body weight every day. It's crazy.
It was amazing. I haven't done it in years, since before COVID. My wife's like, you need to go do it. You're stressed out. And I did it.
I
It
love
was-
V. Give
it was
V a
awesome.
big hug from me.
Will do. All right. So we're wrapping up. I appreciate you being here. What is like, if everything we went in a lot of different directions, we've had some awesome people contribute to this show. I mean, what a great show on refusing to quit, right? Like, so many stories.
Mhm.
What do you like, what would you say for anybody that just chimed in right now? Like, what's the message to them? What do you want the message? Like, if somebody didn't even listen to the podcast, but they just chimed in, what would you say to them?
Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's just where I land every time. Like, what you believe, you achieve. And one of my favorite ones right now, which I'm actually going to put on my website, inspiration doesn't lead to transformation. Action does.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, I appreciate you. Thank you for doing this today. It was absolutely fantastic. And
Love you and love seeing all my friends here. I'm going to pull out the app again. So I had to put it under my butt so I wouldn't listen to the background of it. So I couldn't get to see who was on the stage, but I appreciate all my friends that are here. Oh, I see Alicia,
Yes.
Lisa, David, Justin, of course, Hoot, Tracy, Jason, Kevin, Santosh, Cheryl, Shante, and there's my basketball court. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
Yes, we appreciate you guys being here as well. Thank you guys for being part of the show. Make sure you check out Path to Mastery podcast, and appreciate your contribution today.